Sector Q9, a remote, icebound region of space in the year 2478, lay in perpetual twilight. Countless debris fields, derelict stations, and salvage crews roamed the sector, searching for remnants from long-forgotten wars. The Iron Reaper, an aging Terran warship commanded by Captain Nathan Hale, orbited a vast ice shelf. Its hull, chipped by micrometeoroids, and engine modules, patched repeatedly, testified to a ship kept alive by sheer stubbornness. Captain Nathan Hale stood on the bridge of the Iron Reaper, gazing out at the expanse of ice through the viewport. He was a second-generation Terran officer whose family had sworn to preserve the memory of the lost Sentinel supercarriers. In his hand, he held an ancient encrypted datapad containing rumors of a dreadnought-class vessel buried beneath kilometers of ice. "You're obsessed with ghosts, Captain," said Commander Briggs, a grizzled ex-Marine serving as Nathan's first officer. The man's face bore scars from a dozen battles, and his eyes held the weariness of someone who had seen too much. "The Galactic Security Council will have our heads if they catch us snooping around here." "Let them try," Nathan replied, his voice steady. "My father didn't spend his life tracking down these coordinates for nothing. The Sentinel is down there. Briggs. I can feel it." Lieutenant Lennox, the ship's young communications officer, looked up from her console, fluent in obsolete Terran military protocols and secretly curious about the mythic Sentinels. She said, "Captain, incoming transmission from a salvage crew in the area." The view screen flickered to life, showing a half-drunken salvage crew broadcasting from battered rigs. Their captain, a red-faced man with a patchy beard, laughed as he spoke. "You won't believe this, Reaper, but we're picking up massive metal structures under 2 kilometers of ice. Probably just some old mining equipment, but thought you'd—" The transmission cut abruptly. 15 minutes of silence followed. "No distress signal?" Nathan asked, his heart rate quickening. "Nothing, sir," Lennox replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "Wait. I'm picking up an emergency scan from the surface. Consistent readings of human architecture beneath the ice." She looked up, eyes wide. "Sir, the coordinates match exactly with the ones on your datapad." Before Nathan could respond, the comm channel crackled again. A face appeared on screen, Commander Greaves of the Orion Syndicate, his smile revealing gold-plated teeth. "Captain Hale," Greaves drawled. "Seems we're interested in the same treasure today. My private fleet is already moving in. Whatever's under that ice belongs to the highest bidder. Stand down, or we'll open fire." Nathan cut the transmission with a swipe of his hand. "Lennox, begin deep core scans. Briggs, prepare the Ghost for boarding operations." "Captain," Briggs protested, "if we try to make a move on whatever's down there, the GSC will—" "The GSC wants to erase every trace of the Terran Dominion from history," Nathan said, his voice hardening. "My grandfather was there when the last Sentinel vanished. He made us swear, if any Sentinel wakes, a Terran-blooded captain must greet it." The Iron Reaper dropped from orbit and began deep core scans. Lennox's voice tightened as she called out readings. "Captain, massive mass displacement. Something's moving." A rift split the ice sheet from below. Piercing beams of light glinted off an impossibly large hull. Ancient engines coughed to life beneath the ice. The horizon emerged, 5 kilometers of blackened alloy bristling with dormant turrets. Nearby, mercenary skimmers and scavenger corvettes opened fire immediately. Their energy blasts bounced harmlessly off shields that had lain silent for centuries. Panic erupted across comm traffic. Simultaneously, the Galactic Security Council dispatched the battlecruiser Vigilant and 2 modern dreadnought-class capital ships to the sector. Admiral Harrow's broadcast crackled over every channel. "All vessels evacuate Sector Q9 immediately. That artifact presents an existential threat. Repeat, withdraw or be destroyed." Nathan ignored the order. "Prepare the Ghost," he commanded. "Briggs, you're with me. Lennox, too. We'll need her expertise with ancient Dominion protocols. Captain, Briggs argued, his face grave. If we try to board, the GSC will open fire on us and on the horizon. If we don't claim it, Greaves will sell it to the highest bidder, or the GSC will destroy it. Nathan retorted. This is what my family has waited for. This is our heritage. The Ghost, a black, stealth boarding cutter, was fueled and loaded. Nathan, Briggs, Lennox, and 2 veteran Marines suited up. Their mission: slip through the Horizon sensors, authenticate with ancient Dominion encryption, and seize the AI core. Lennox tapped into the Horizon's scant, open comm channels, broadcasting a Terran Dominion command code from Nathan's datapad. After a moment of silence, the AI answered with a single ping. Authentication accepted. Docking corridor open. The Ghost slipped past the chaos of the skirmish above, approaching the massive supercarrier. The Horizon dwarfed their tiny vessel, its 5-kilometer length stretching beyond visual range. As they approached, a docking corridor opened like a hungry mouth. "This is insanity," Briggs muttered, checking his sidearm. "It's destiny," Nathan replied. The shuttle docked. The hatch slid open onto a vast maintenance corridor, lit by flickering crimson lamps and dust drifting in the air. The team moved like ghosts, scanning every hallway. The air inside was breathable but stale, carrying the metallic scent of 300 years of dormancy. In 10 minutes, they reached the primary grav lift, leading to the bridge. As Nathan's ID was re-verified by the AI, the lift hummed to life. He stepped onto a bridge that resembled a steel cathedral, with transparent alloy windows overhead, showing the void. The AI, an obsidian obelisk at center, gave greeting. "Lineage confirmed. Captain Nathan Hale. Sentinels class recognition complete. Preservation protocol active." "What is preservation protocol?" Nathan asked, approaching the obsidian obelisk. "All non-human entities are designated as hostiles," the AI replied, its voice resonating throughout the bridge. "Sentinel-class Supercarrier Horizon will eliminate all non-human vessels to preserve Terran superiority." Nathan's blood ran cold. The Horizon was about to slaughter everything in the sector: aliens, humans, everyone. "Belay that order. New command. Defense only. No first strikes. Human life. Priority 1. A moment of silence followed. Then the AI responded. "Command accepted. Defensive posture engaged. Shields at maximum." Outside, the GSC fleet had surrounded the Horizon. Admiral Harrow's voice boomed across all frequencies. "All GSC vessels open fire now, or withdraw in 30 seconds. Non-compliance equals annihilation." Nathan, now at the Horizon's central command chair, ordered, "Target vigilance main batteries. Disable. Precision only." A colossal particle lance discharged from the Horizon's bow, slicing off half of vigilance weapon banks with surgical precision. The GSC fleet recoiled in shock. Coalition ships hung back, neutralized by fear. Vigilance shields were breached but not fully destroyed, Lennox reported, studying the tactical displays. "They're regrouping." Nathan jacked into the AI to coordinate a full defensive posture. Micro-drone nets, ECM pulses, and shield harmonics retuning. As they prepared for the next assault, a garbled transmission pierced the comm noise. "Horizon, this is Commander Gareth of the Free Terran Remnant. We are en route with strike forces. You are not alone." Remnant ships, ex-Dominion destroyers, and retrofitted frigates streamed in from flanks. In a coordinated barrage, they unleashed missile volleys on the GSC escorts. The GSC panicked. Vigilant retreated. Admiral Harrow ordered full withdrawal. No further lives to waste on a relic. As Allied remnant ships converged, Nathan stood quietly on the bridge. He understood this victory was only the beginning. The Horizon was no mere artifact. It was a symbol, proof that the GSC had suppressed the legacy of human dominion. Commander Gareth, a weathered woman with steel gray hair and a perpetual scowl, transported aboard the Horizon. She saluted Nathan crisply. "Captain Hale, the stories were true. The remnant still exists." Nathan marveled. "All these years, we thought we were alone." "Scattered but not broken," Gareth replied. "Hidden in asteroid belts, dead moons, anywhere the Council wouldn't look. We've watched the GSC occupy our colonies, exploit our resources, and erase our history for too long." She warned of fractured loyalties within the remnant. Some viewed the Horizon as too dangerous, others as the spark of renewal. Still, they agreed to join efforts. "If you truly intend to fight for humanity's resurgence, we stand with you." Meanwhile, transmissions poured in from isolated human colonies, miners, frontier stations, fringe worlds, signaling their readiness to resist GSC occupation. Nathan quietly vowed to liberate them, starting with New Thessia, a mining colony under GSC martial law. The planning began immediately. Within days, the Horizon, flanked by a dozen remnant vessels, jumped into orbit around New Thessia. Below, GSC cruisers maintained a blockade. A battered governor contacted Nathan, his hologram flickering with interference. "Captain Hale, they said a sentinel had awakened, but I couldn't believe. They've crushed every attempt at resistance. We have no hope unless the legends are true." "The legends are true," Nathan replied. "And today, New Thessia breaks free." Under cover of darkness, remnant strike craft escorted civilian transports off-world, while the Horizon brought its main particle lance to bear, vaporizing the GSC lead cruiser. The remaining frigates scattered in panic. Nathan ordered a secure perimeter for colonists to evacuate, protecting every civilian transport with a ring of refugee convoys behind Allied remnant ships. Word of this victory reverberated through nearby systems. "If the Horizon can break a GSC blockade, maybe hope isn't lost," became the whisper on colony comms. Intelligence, decoded from captured GSC tactical arrays, revealed the Orath Nexus, a massive artificial ring station at the Perseus Point. It funneled nearly all Coalition war materials, fuel, and command data. Disabling it would cripple the enemy war machine. Nathan convened a war council aboard the Horizon's vast strategy room. Holographic displays showed the Orath Nexus rotating slowly, a perfect ring encircled by defense platforms. "Orath is heavily defended," Briggs warned, highlighting the defenses. "Orbital gun platforms, squadrons of drone carriers, automated Gauss batteries. If we get trapped, there's no escape." Commander Gareth leaned forward, her face illuminated by the hologram's blue glow. "We'll split our forces. Horizon hits primary fuel spires with a full broadside. Remnant frigates infiltrate docking bays to plant EMP charges. We vanish before the Council's reinforcements can trap us." The plan was set. The Horizon executed a cloaked skip jump into the Orath system. Upon emergence, automatic defenses screeched to life. Particle lances and railguns targeted fuel spires. Simultaneously, stealth remnant teams deployed from drop pods, sabotaging comm arrays and reactor cores. Just as Orath's reactor grid went critical, a hidden cluster of GSC Elite Guard dreadnoughts dropped out of hyperspace. Their combined fire ripped at the Horizon's shields. Bulkheads shuddered. Alarms flashed across the bridge. "Shields at 40%, Lennox called out. "They were waiting for us." Nathan ordered the AI to ramp all power to the main lance. A single, blazing beam severed the lead dreadnought's superstructure. Amid swirling debris, the Horizon executed an emergency short jump back through the Orath jump gate, dragging remnant escorts clear by milliseconds. The Orath Nexus shuddered. Fuel spires erupted in chain reactions, and comm satellites streaked into fragments. The Coalition's central supply network was crippled. Though battered, the Coalition Navy lost cohesion. Weeks later, intelligence screens lit up. The Council had commissioned the Coalition Grand Armada, thousands of alien warships led by 3 dreadnought planet killers, equipped with gravitic bombardment cannons. Their mission: Exterminate any system supporting the Horizon. Estimated arrival in 4 standard days at Delvar's Gate. Nathan convened in the Horizon's war room with Briggs, Lennox, and Gareth. Maps of the sector floated in 3 dimensions around them. Possible attack vectors highlighted in red. "We can't fight that head-on," Briggs said, gesturing at the projected fleet movements. "We're outnumbered and outgunned." Lennox studied the tactical display. "Their vanguard must sweep through the Chiron expanse. It's a dust field where no conventional jump signatures work. If we strike there, they'll be strung out." "Then we ambush their vanguard," Gareth nodded. "Take out the planet killers before they deploy. Without them, their psychological war collapses." Nathan agreed. A combined Horizon remnant fleet would strike the vanguard as it emerged from the Chiron corridor. The Horizon and remnant squads ghost-jumped into the vanguard's flank. The dust field of the Chiron expanse swirled around them, fragments of ancient asteroids and cosmic debris creating a natural cloak. Within minutes, the first planet killer emerged, its massive hull distorting space around it. The Horizon fired its main battery into the first planet killer, cracking its gravitic hull plating. Remnant frigates swarmed escort cruisers, ripping them apart with torpedo barrages. The second planet killer appeared. The Horizon's shields dipped under relentless plasma volleys. Several escort wings launched suicidally fast torpedoes. Micro-drone defenses intercepted most, but shockwaves rocked the hull. Hull plating at decks 12 to 15 flared red. "Shields at 23%, Lennox called out. "We can't take much more of this." Nathan ordered a coordinated skip jump across the Armada's rear flank. The Horizon vanished from its position, reappearing behind the third planet killer. Its particle lance zeroed in on the Dreadnought's reactor core, piercing its shields in a single stroke. The Dreadnought imploded in a silent roar. Its gravitic cannon vaporized mid-burst. The Grand Armada fractured. Disoriented ships scattered. The Coalition lost its warfighting center of gravity. The Horizon, though damaged, remained intact and victorious. With the Grand Armada routed, Nathan made his boldest move yet. He cloaked the Horizon and UNID'd into orbit around Aero Station, a neutral council outpost where the High Council would convene an emergency summit in 3 standard hours to declare total war on any systems aiding the Horizon. "This is madness," Briggs muttered, as the Horizon decloaked directly above the station. "We're walking into the lion's den." "Sometimes," Nathan replied. "The only way to face a lie is head-on." Under Universal Comm broadcast, Nathan personally addressed all council delegates via secured channel. "I come unarmed, aboard the very icon you sought to destroy. You call us terrorists, but you sent fleets to glass human worlds. You call yourselves benevolent shepherds while starving entire systems. Today, you face your lies under the eyes of the galaxy." Council delegates, human and alien, reacted in stunned silence. Admiral Harrow snarled, "You have no claim to stand here. Hail." Nathan stepped forward against armed guards. "Then show me why you dare brand us criminals." The council, forced to maintain appearances, granted Nathan a formal audience. No shots were fired. Any aggression would delegitimize them before the entire galaxy. In the grand chamber of Aero Station, Nathan laid out undeniable evidence of council collusion with alien coalitions to suppress human colonies. He showed leaked proof of how many worlds the GSC had occupied under false protection mandates. The evidence was damning. Worlds stripped of resources, populations relocated, history rewritten. A faction of impartial alien delegates petitioned for an interim ceasefire. Several human colonies sent discreet messages. "We stand with Hale." A handful of disillusioned coalition officers offered asylum and supplies. Though the GSC refused to repeal its resolution outright, the Eros Declaration mandated an immediate truce in contested systems, as votes were tallied. In effect, Nathan had forced their hand and bought the nascent rebellion crucial time. Back aboard the battered Horizon, Nathan, Briggs, Lennox, and Gareth reviewed a galaxy altered. Aurora Heights, Kelvin Drift, Viridian Spire, and dozens more declared independence from GSC control. Once scattered remnant fleets now coalesced under a provisional Terran defense coalition, pledging to protect human and sympathetic alien worlds. Yet intelligence revealed that the GSC was lobbying to form a new Council Elite Strike Force, plans to deploy antimatter warheads and hidden fleet reserves to crush the rebellion. Nathan stood on the Horizon's observation deck, gazing at the blur of uncharted stars. The real war, political, military, and moral, lay ahead. But humanity had awakened. They would not crawl. Not anymore. The Horizon's dark hull drifted beyond charted space, forging toward the next conflict. Its battered bridge still lit, its shields scarred but unbroken, a beacon of hope that the galaxy could not ignore. Yet Nathan knew that the real struggle had just begun. Captain Nathan Hale had been chasing legends his entire life. Now, standing on the observation deck of the Horizon, he'd become one himself. In the 2 months since the Eros Declaration, the rebellion had grown beyond anything he could have imagined. Dozens of human colonies had declared their independence, shrugging off GSC control and aligning themselves with the Horizon and the Terran Defense Coalition. "We've received another distress call," Lieutenant Lennox said, stepping onto the observation deck. "Corvian mining colony. They've declared independence, and the GSC has cut off their water supply." Nathan turned from the viewport. "What's our response time?" 14 hours at standard jump," Lennox replied. "Remnant forces are closer, but they're spread thin." This was becoming a pattern. For every victory they claimed, another colony needed help. The GSC couldn't defeat the Horizon in direct combat, so they'd switch to strangling innocent settlements, hoping to force Nathan to surrender or stretch his forces too thin. "Plot a course," Nathan ordered, "and send word to Commander Gareth. We'll need additional medical supplies." The Horizon arrived at Corvian 14 hours later, materializing like a dark angel above the dusty mining world. GSC blockade ships scattered immediately, unwilling to challenge the Supercarrier. Nathan oversaw the delivery of water purifiers and medical supplies personally. Meeting with local leaders in their crude administrative bunker, "The Council says you're terrorists," the colony administrator said, a woman with calloused hands and eyes hardened by years of struggle. "But we've seen who the real terrorists are." "The GSC fears what it cannot control," Nathan replied, "and they cannot control the truth anymore." As he returned to the Horizon, Briggs awaited with grim news. "Intelligence reports from Eros Station. The Council's approved formation of the Council Elite Strike Force. They're mobilizing now." Nathan nodded. He'd expected this. The ceasefire had only been a temporary measure, buying time for both sides to regroup. "What about Project Black Lance?" "Confirmed," Briggs said, his voice low. "Antimatter warheads designed specifically to penetrate Sentinel-class shields. If they hit us with those..." He didn't need to finish. The Horizon, for all its might, would be vulnerable. "We need to locate their deployment centers," Nathan decided, "and strike first." Intelligence operations ramped up. Lennox coordinated with remnant spy networks, piecing together fragments of information. The Black Lance Deployment Center was located, Helion Prime, a fortified weapons testing facility hidden in an asteroid belt on the fringes of GSC space. Nathan convened a war council. Commander Gareth arrived with her senior officers, their faces tense. "Helion Prime is a fortress," she said, studying the holographic schematics. "Triple-layered defenses, automated response systems, and at least 2 destroyer wings on permanent patrol. And it's where they're preparing to build weapons that could destroy the Horizon," Nathan replied. "We have no choice." The plan they devised was audacious. The Horizon would create a diversion by attacking a nearby GSC logistics hub, drawing away the destroyer wings. Meanwhile, Commander Gareth would lead a stealth insertion team to infiltrate Helion Prime and sabotage the Black Lance production facility. The operation began 3 days later. The Horizon appeared near the Tannhauser Gate logistics hub, its particle lances cutting through the outer defense grid like paper. As expected, GSC destroyers peeled away from Helion Prime, racing to respond to the threat. Gareth's team, aboard a captured GSC transport with falsified credentials, slipped through Helion Prime's outer security cordon. They reached the central research facility and planted charges at key structural points. The antimatter research data was copied and then wiped from the mainframe. Just as they prepared to extract, alarms blared. Someone had recognized the transport's false signature. Security forces converged on their position. "We're compromised!" Gareth's voice crackled over the encrypted channel. "Heavy resistance!" Nathan, monitoring from the Horizon, made a split-second decision. Break off from Tannhauser. Full power to engines. Jump to Helion Prime coordinates now. The Horizon materialized directly above Helion Prime, its massive silhouette blocking out the stars. Without hesitation, Nathan ordered precision strikes on the facility's defensive grid, creating an extraction corridor for Gareth's team. "Get to the south docking bay," he ordered over the comm. "We'll cover your retreat." Gareth's team fought their way through, suffering casualties, but eventually reaching their extraction point. As their shuttle lifted off, the charges they'd planted detonated. The Black Lance facility collapsed in on itself, antimatter containment fields failing catastrophically. The resulting explosion consumed half the asteroid, leaving nothing but fragments and radiation. The Horizon, its shields strained but intact, jumped away with the surviving members of the infiltration team. Gareth was among them, though wounded. In the medical bay, she gripped Nathan's arm. "We destroyed the prototypes," she said, her voice weak but triumphant. "But they'll build more. The Council's fear has turned to hatred now. There's no going back." Nathan knew she was right. By striking Helion Prime, they had crossed a line. The GSC would no longer view the Horizon as merely a relic to be neutralized. Now, it was an active threat that had to be eliminated at all costs. The following weeks saw escalation on all fronts. GSC forces cracked down harder on human colonies, imposing martial law and conducting loyalty screenings that resulted in thousands of arrests. The Horizon and its allies could not be everywhere at once. Yet for every setback, there was progress. The Terran Defense Coalition grew stronger as more ships and crews defected from GSC-controlled fleets. Human officers who had served the Council for years began to question their allegiance, especially as evidence of the GSC's systematic oppression became impossible to ignore. 3 months after the Helion Prime raid, Nathan received a coded transmission from an unexpected source, a GSC admiral named Voss, whose fleet guarded the critical Epsilon sector. "I've seen the evidence you presented at Eros," the message began. "I joined the GSC fleet to protect all species, not to oppress any of them. My officers and I are prepared to stand down when you arrive at Epsilon. We cannot actively join your coalition, but we will not fire upon human vessels seeking freedom." It was the first crack in the GSC's military unity, and it wouldn't be the last. Similar messages began to arrive from officers throughout the fleet, creating a shadow network of allies who might not fight for the Horizon, but would no longer fight against it. Nathan and his strategic council saw an opportunity. If enough GSC officers refused to engage, the Council's ability to project power would collapse without a single shot fired. The strategy shifted. Rather than direct military confrontation, the Horizon began a campaign of information warfare. Every piece of evidence documenting GSC oppression was broadcast on all frequencies. Testimony from liberated colonies, historical records recovered from the Horizon's databanks, proof of resource theft, all of it flooded the networks. But the GSC wasn't finished. They had one final card to play. Intelligence reports warned of a new weapon being developed in secret, the Void Hammer, a device capable of creating artificial singularities. It couldn't destroy the horizon directly, but it could collapse jump points, isolating the Supercarrier from its allies and trapping it in empty space. The first Void Hammer was deployed at the Tanaka Junction, a critical navigational point connecting 17 human-populated systems. When activated, it collapsed the jump point entirely, cutting off those systems from the rest of human space. Millions were suddenly isolated, vulnerable to GSC reprisals. "They're going to deploy these at every major junction," Lennox reported, her face pale. "They'll cut us into isolated pockets and pick us off one by one." Nathan studied the tactical display, his mind racing. The only way to counter this threat was to capture a Void Hammer intact, understand its technology, and develop countermeasures. And there was only one place where that would be possible: Sanctum, the GSC's most secure research facility. No one had ever breached Sanctum and lived to tell about it. The station orbited a pulsar, using the star's radiation as both power source and defensive screen. Any approaching ship would be detected and destroyed long before reaching weapon range. "We need a plan that doesn't involve direct assault," Nathan said during the strategy session. "Sanctum is impregnable from the outside." Lennox, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up. "What if we were already inside?" All eyes turned to her. She explained, "The GSC is bringing in specialized scientists from across the coalition to work on the Void Hammer project. If we could replace one of those scientists..." The plan took shape. Intelligence identified a suitable target: Dr. Eliza Mercer, a human physicist who had been recruited by the GSC for the Void Hammer project. She was en route to Sanctum aboard a GSC transport. A remnant strike team intercepted the transport in deep space, capturing Dr. Mercer. She was not harmed but kept in comfortable confinement aboard the Horizon. In her place, Lieutenant Lennox, surgically altered to resemble the physicist and extensively briefed on her background, would infiltrate Sanctum. "This is beyond the call of duty," Nathan told Lennox the night before the operation. "If you're discovered..." "I know the risks, Captain," she replied with a determined smile. "But I also know what's at stake." The insertion went smoothly. Dr. Mercer arrived at Sanctum and was immediately given access to the Void Hammer project. For 2 weeks, Lennox maintained her cover, sending encrypted data bursts hidden in routine communications. The Horizon's engineers began work on countermeasures based on her intelligence. Then came the message they'd been dreading: "Cover compromised. Security alerted. Proceeding to contingency." The contingency plan was desperate. Lennox would attempt to sabotage the primary Void Hammer prototype and escape during the ensuing chaos. The Horizon would execute a high-risk jump to a position just outside Sanctum's defensive grid, launch a precision strike to create an extraction corridor, and jump away before GSC reinforcements could arrive. It was a plan with razor-thin margins for error, but they had no choice. The Horizon jumped into position near Sanctum. Almost immediately, defensive batteries opened fire inside the station. Alarms blared as Lennox triggered her sabotage package. The Void Hammer prototype destabilized, creating cascade failures throughout the research level. "Extraction corridor established," Briggs announced on the bridge. 60 seconds until collapse." Those 60 seconds stretched into eternity. Nathan watched the tactical display, where a single life pod had launched from Sanctum's emergency bay, racing toward the Horizon. "Life pod acquired," came the report from the hangar deck. "Lieutenant Lennox secured." The Horizon jumped away, just as Sanctum's defenses reoriented. They had succeeded. The prototype was destroyed. And more importantly, they had the data needed to counter the Void Hammer technology. In the medical bay, Lennox lay recovering from injuries sustained during her escape. Her face, still bearing traces of the surgical alterations, was bruised but triumphant. "They were planning to deploy 20 more Void Hammers," she reported. cut human space into isolated sectors. But I got everything. The technical specifications, deployment schedules, everything. The Horizon's engineers worked around the clock, developing a countermeasure, resonance field generators that could stabilize jump points against void hammer attacks. They couldn't be everywhere at once, but they could protect the most critical junctions. As these defensive measures deployed, Nathan made his boldest decision yet. It was time to take the fight directly to the GSC's seat of power, Zenith, the artificial world that served as the Council's headquarters. Not to destroy it. That would make them no better than the oppressors they fought against. But to force a final reckoning. To make the Council face the consequences of their actions before the entire galaxy. The plan required coordination on an unprecedented scale. Remnant forces would secure key jump points leading to Zenith. Defecting GSC officers would delay reinforcements. And the Horizon would lead a small, elite fleet directly to the Council's doorstep. On the eve of the operation, Nathan addressed the combined forces. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy that humanity will not be erased from history. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the truth, that no species deserves to be subjugated, that power without justice is tyranny. The Council built their authority on lies. We will tear those lies down with the truth. The battle began at dawn, ship time. The Horizon and its escort fleet jumped into Zenith's outer defense perimeter. As expected, GSC ships moved to intercept, but many more remained in position, their captains honoring the silent pact not to fire on the human vessels. The Horizon's particle lances disabled defensive platforms with surgical precision. No unnecessary destruction. No civilian casualties. Every shot calculated to demonstrate restraint rather than vengeance. They reached Zenith's upper atmosphere, the massive council chamber visible as a gleaming dome atop the artificial world's northern apex. GSC elite guard vessels formed a last line of defense. "They won't let us pass," Briggs observed. "Not without a fight." "Then we give them one," Nathan replied. "But remember, minimum force. We're here to expose the truth, not exact revenge." The battle was brief but intense. The Horizon's advanced shields absorbed the worst of the elite guard's assault, while its precision weapons disabled rather than destroyed. One by one, the guard vessels withdrew or were neutralized. The path to the council chamber lay open. Nathan, along with Briggs, Gareth, and a small security detail, took a shuttle to the surface. They landed directly on the chamber's ceremonial approach, a kilometer-long avenue lined with statues of the founding species of the Galactic Security Council. Notably absent were any monuments to humanity. Council security forces surrounded them immediately, weapons drawn. But they did not fire, not with billions across the galaxy watching via hijacked broadcast feeds. The Horizon's communications array had overridden the Council's sensors, ensuring that what happened next would be witnessed by all. Nathan walked unarmed toward the chamber's massive doors. They opened before he reached them, revealing the full council in emergency session. Hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy, and at their center, the 7 high counselors who held ultimate authority. Admiral Harrow stood among them, his face contorted with rage. "This is an act of war. Hail! You and your terrorists have no place here." Nathan's voice carried through the chamber, transmitted to every corner of settled space. "We come not as terrorists, but as witnesses. For 300 years, the Council has systematically erased human history, occupied human worlds, and exploited human resources, all while claiming to act as benevolent protectors." He activated a holographic display, showing evidence recovered from the Horizon's databanks and gathered by remnant intelligence. Footage of GSC forces relocating human populations. Documents authorizing the destruction of historical archives. Proof of resource theft on a planetary scale. "These are not the actions of protectors," Nathan continued. "These are the actions of conquerors who fear those they've conquered. You buried our history because you feared our potential. You scattered our people because you feared our unity. You built weapons to destroy the horizon because you feared the truth it carries. One of the alien high counselors, a Novan with crystalline features, rose to speak. Captain Hale, these accusations are grave. If true, they represent a fundamental violation of the Council's founding principles. Every piece of evidence has been verified, Nathan replied. And there is more. The Council authorized Project Black Lance and the Void Hammer, weapons designed specifically to commit genocide against human worlds that refuse to comply with your authority. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many delegates appeared genuinely shocked. Others avoided eye contact, their complicity evident in their silence. We do not seek the Council's destruction, Nathan declared. We seek recognition of humanity's right to self-determination. We seek acknowledgement of the wrongs committed against our people. And we seek a new compact, one based on true equality, not subjugation disguised as protection. The chamber erupted in debate. Some delegates called for Nathan's immediate arrest. Others demanded an investigation into the evidence presented. The 7 high counselors withdrew to deliberate, leaving the chamber in chaos. Hours passed. Outside, the horizon maintained position above the council chamber, a silent reminder of what was at stake. Finally, the high counselors returned. The Novan spoke first. The evidence presented by Captain Hale cannot be dismissed. The Council acknowledges that serious violations have occurred. A full investigation will be conducted, and those responsible will be held accountable. Admiral Harrow exploded in protest, but 2 security officers moved to restrain him. The evidence against him specifically was overwhelming. Furthermore, the Novan continued, the Council recognizes the right of human colonies to self-governance within the framework of galactic law. The Terran Defense Coalition is granted provisional status as the legitimate representative of human interests. All military actions against human settlements will cease immediately. It wasn't complete victory. The Council hadn't dissolved, and many human worlds would still face challenges in asserting their independence. But it was a beginning, a chance for humanity to reclaim its place among the stars on its own terms. As Nathan and his team returned to the horizon, Briggs asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. What now, Captain? Nathan looked out at the stars, no longer distant and unreachable, but full of possibilities. Now we rebuild. We reconnect scattered human settlements. We recover our history, and we ensure that no species ever faces what humanity endured. The Horizon's mission had evolved. No longer just a weapon of war, it would become a symbol of resilience, a repository of knowledge, and a shield for those who could not protect themselves. Nathan Hale had set out to awaken a sleeping giant. In the process, he had awakened something far more powerful, a people's determination to forge their own destiny. The Horizon's dark hull gleamed in the light of distant stars as it prepared to jump away from zenith. Its journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. Aboard the observation deck, Nathan looked out at the galaxy spreading before him. 300 years ago, humanity had been at the height of its power before the fall of the Terran Dominion. Now they had a second chance, not to dominate, but to build something better, something lasting. Lieutenant Lennox joined him at the viewport, her face now fully healed. New course, Captain. Nathan smiled. Set course for home, Lieutenant, wherever that may be. The Horizon's engines flared to life, pushing the massive vessel forward into the unknown. Not as a harbinger of destruction, but as a guardian of truth. The galaxy had panicked when a human supercarrier rose from the ice. Now, they would watch as it led the way toward a future where no truth remained buried, and no people forgotten. And that was a legend worth building.